Our destiny is to play our game. I think that's the most important is play our game. I think that's the most important is, how can we be better today than we were yesterday? And, ultimately that's the strength of this ball club. So, worry about today and then worry about tomorrow. But go out there and play our best baseball tonight.
Like I said, at any point, if Schulte says whoever wants to go in, you put your hand up, I'm going to be the first person to want to put my hand up. That's just how I am. I don't care what it is. It's a tough game. You're going to leave pitches down the middle. You're going to give up 3-run bombs. You're going to have a team that's senior stuff. You're going to have something. And ironically, it's against a team that it just happens to be that we're battling right now for the lead with just the division and all that, and just the team down the street. Just think.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. That is AJ Cassavell in Seattle. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. A bit of a later start today because I have my nephew put regular dish soap in my dishwasher, and I'm not joking. There's suds all over this floor. It's like he emptied half a bottle. AJ Cassavell's in a great coffee city. He needed to make a coffee run, and then we found out that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. So I wasn't sure if I needed to go ahead and postpone this show so we can talk about Kelce and Swift. But we do have the Padres in. No, you're good. AJ, you're good with that. You can move on to other things. It does not affect your life one way or the other.
We can talk Padres, yes.
Let's talk Padres. Okay, before we get on to what's happening tonight with Dylan Cease on the mound, any final thoughts that you want to have when it comes to Jeremiah Estrada? I know that was a big topic, of course, in the finale against the Dodgers. When you lose, every single time they lose a game, it's going to be the decisions will be magnified because how important every game is here on out with 30 games to go and one game behind the Dodgers. So, any thoughts on Estrada and that situation, how it developed?
I don't really have that much of a take on Estrada on the whole thing. I think he just pitched bad against the Dodgers this weekend, and the Dodgers might be seeing him well. Like, it's not that crazy. Like, sometimes that's just the end of it. Like, it was the right move to put him in that spot. Maybe you'd rather have Morihone versus Will Smith over Estrada versus Dalton Rushing. I wouldn't. I would have kept Estrada in. It's Dalton Rushing versus Will Smith. Like, that's a pretty obvious choice to me. He gave up a 3-run homer, and sometimes that happens. So, like, I guess he's been so good for so long. His stuff is obviously elite. He's had some struggles against the Dodgers. The way the Padres bullpen had played out, it would have been probably a much fairer discussion or criticism if they had not used so many arms in so many different ways the preceding few days. Like, if they had all 5 of those back-end bullpen guys ready to go and they chose Estrada over Adam and Morihone, I think that's another question. But they chose Estrada over Jason Adam, who had pitched 2 days in a row, and Morihone, who had pitched multiple innings the night before. And I think they were just saving. They really wanted Morihone just to come in and get one out because, he had thrown 2 up downs the day before. Like, this is not all in a vacuum. If the Padres are making this decision, like just among the 5 relievers, and they chose Jeremiah Estrada versus the Dodgers against whom he's clearly struggling right now, I think that's an issue. I don't think it's an issue. I think he's the right guy to pitch in that 7th inning, and sometimes you get beat, and he got beat on Sunday.
One of my favorite things that you do, AJ, when I sit next to you in the press box is you call your shot and who's going to hit a home run, right? You do that. I think Kevin Acee does.
Yeah.
Yes, the yard game. Who's winning that amongst the PR staff and the Padres beat reporters?
This season it's me. I had back-to-back.
Really?
Yeah, I only have 2, but it was back-to-back nights. It was the first time I'd ever done that. This is the thing I've been doing dating back to like 2012 when I first got to San Diego, and I was living in an apartment in PB with a couple of my buddies, and we were just watching baseball. So it was that I've been doing it for that long.
I never knew.
Yeah, and so I brought it to the press box where it's just you get 1 pitch a game, you got to call the home run on. I've been saving it for 3-1 or 2-0. Usually Tatis or Machado, but Tatis hadn't homered in a while, and I'm wondering if this is where your segue is going because yes, he hit one last night in a pretty big spot, and actually the Padres PR guy on this trip, Craig, called the yard on that one.
You're kidding me. Craig got
no, that's huge because Craig hasn't gotten the yard in a while. So
wow. Well, shout out to Craig then. Okay, because you called it on Sunday. Tatis did not do it. What was the body language like yesterday in post game with Tatis? And when things aren't going well for him, he wears it. When things are going well for him, he seems to be more cautious. I know, like the Padres fans want to see a lot more of this, a lot more consistency. What was the conversation like with Tatis yesterday after his first home run in like a month, which is insane to me?
Yeah, he didn't really seem to want to talk about the home run at all. He was kind of bummed out that they had lost the game. All our questions were obviously about the home run because it had been so long since he hit a homer, and also the fact that like if Tatis's power gets going and the Padres have power in this lineup, like that's the only thing kind of missing from this offense is the power threats. Like they do everything else well if you look at it, except for slug. I think they're 29th in home runs right now, and they're top half in just about pretty much all the other categories like contact and average and on base and all those things. Like they do everything well except for slug. So if Tatis gets going, that is huge. So I know they lost the game last night and Tatis is bummed, but like a power surge from Fernando Tatis Jr. is bigger than one game in September. So the conversation with him was subdued because he was bummed about the loss. I think he got a bad read on that single in the fifth inning the fifth inning. It happens. If Tatis's power comes back in the last month and into October, the Padres are a different team.
The open that I played there was Manny Machado. That was that was ahead of the Dodger series at Petco Park, talking about their best version of baseball. What is the best version of the Padres offensively? Like it's I don't know that they finally had some slug, 4 home runs in a game, and they lose that game. What is the Padres' best recipe towards winning? What do we know about this team?
Well, the best recipe for their offense is to get a little more slug than they've gotten. I think the best recipe for winning is like they need more from their starting pitching, and they're going to hopefully get Michael King back here in the very near future, which would impact that. Like they didn't lose yesterday's game because of their offense. They lost yesterday's game because the starter went 3 2/3, and then they got into Can you still hear me? My headphones just went out.
I can hear you. Yes.
All right,
I can hear you.
They lost yesterday's game because the starting pitcher went 3 2/3 innings, and then the middle relief gave it up, which happens sometimes when you get into the middle of a bullpen against a good lineup like Seattle. I would be more encouraged with the slugging. Granted, like one game is not a trend, but if that's what the Padres are going to be, like JP Sears is a fine piece to shuffle between AAA and the majors, but he's not going to be a part of what the Padres are in October, most likely. I would be more encouraged with the slugging, even though it's a loss the Padres don't want to take, because going forward, like that's going to be more important. And they'll have Michael King back shortly, and pitching the big games down the stretch is going to be King, Cease, Pivetta, Darvish. Like if you get offense for those guys and they go 5 or 6 innings and they turn it over to the bullpen, the Padres are going to be in very good shape.
Okay, on Michael King, I know there was some conversation that he might be available for Minnesota, right? That's when he was eligible to come off the IL. I know that he was a bit more reserved when talking about when he was going to come back, because he had that first setback, right? When he was supposed to come back versus the Red Sox. What's behind the Padres' decision to go ahead and maybe push him to Baltimore when they're back in San Diego?
Yeah, I think we're going to learn today.
Yeah,
I think we're going to learn today for certain, which is like not when he's coming back, but whether he'll need like that extra turn through. I think the decision is just like, would you rather have Michael King for a game against the Twins at the end of August, or would you rather have Michael King like a little healthier, which could guarantee with a little more certainty that'll be good down the stretch? And if that's the case with the Minnesota start, I think he'll be just fine. Like that they might potentially bring him back for that start. But like you said, like there's every possibility they do another sort of simulated game or rehab start in that slot through the rotation, and then he's pitching against Baltimore when they're back at Petco Park. It's just, I know these games are important for winning the division, but like if you don't have Michael King in October, I have a hard time seeing this team accomplishing what it wants to accomplish. And so the priority is ensuring that you have Michael King healthy, and then it's winning games in August that could impact the division.
Okay, I like that point, and you're going to take me to my next conversation, and that's going to be with Jackson Merrill. All right. Now, when I saw him in San Diego, I mean, he was limping. He was limping around. He could not move well. I know that there is some optimism that he could come back this weekend. Why not use that same approach for Jackson Merrill, that with Michael King? You don't want this guy just like, racing back. And we know how competitive he is. We can see how frustrated he is to not be playing, but you have options. You're not relying on Bryce Johnson or Trenton Brooks or Tyler Wade. You have guys that you acquired that are making an impact. Any thought to maybe making sure that Jackson Merrill is good to go 100%, no 100%, but really being cautious with him before bringing him back?
I think they will. I think that they're saying that they expect him back after the 10 days, but if he's not 100%, they will ease it off because of what you said. Like they have adequate replacements. Ramon Laureano in center and Gavin Sheets in left is a step down defensively, but at the plate, it's awesome. Gavin Sheets has been fantastic lately, and Laureano has been like the best trade deadline pickup in baseball.
He really has.
So they can afford to like give Merrill an extra day or two. That's obviously not what Jackson Merrill wants. But I think they really think that like when he gets back on the field, which could be like tomorrow potentially, just doing baseball activity and whatnot. If they get him a workout tomorrow and get him a workout Friday and the ankle feels okay, then he can be activated. If they get him a couple workouts and it needs to progress a little slower, they know they have Sheets and Laureano. It's a pretty good position to be in. Like if you look at what happened when Jackson Merrill got hurt the first 2 times and what it did to the Padres lineup, it just like decimated it. Yeah. It was like, the bottom 4 or 5 spots in their lineup were suddenly just terrible. And they're replacing him in center field with guys that frankly don't really hit. Like this is night and day from that. So they can afford to be a little more cautious. And I think they will be, even though they're saying they expect him back. Like if he gets into those drills and those workouts, they can afford to take an extra day, an extra 2 days, potentially bring him back against Baltimore next weekend. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but I think they're just going to wait until he gets on the field and does those drills to find out how he's feeling.
Given we had this conversation last week on a show with you about playing time, the best lineup, especially against lefties. Do you think, given their current production and where they are right now, that there could be any changes with Luis Arraez?
I don't know about right now.
Playing time, lineup, all that stuff. When Merrill's back.
When Merrill's back, that's an interesting question, because maybe that's like the time they choose to shake it up, because all of a sudden you're inserting a new piece into the lineup. Mm-hmm. They don't face any lefties this week in Seattle. With Arraez, like I think, like to me, I guess there's been a lot of discussion about Luis Arraez. To me, the Arraez question is kind of this: like you look at the last 4 years and who he's been. Like that's a 380 OPS or on base percentage guy. And you look at this year and who he's been, and he's not been that guy. And so if you're the Padres and you want to get the most out of Luis Arraez, you want him to be that 380. Like if he's that 380 on base percentage guy, he should be batting second against righties.
Yes.
He shouldn't be batting second against lefties. I think that's another story. I think that's something that they would likely address and move in the lineup like down the stretch. But he hasn't been that. And so if you're the Padres, you want to get that out of him, because like you want to get the best versions of your players. They don't have that high on base Luis Arraez, in which case, like you get late in the season, if this is the guy that he is, I think then all of a sudden there's a case to drop him in the lineup, and there's probably a need to do so when the games get really important and into October. That being said, like this team and this coaching staff and this manager are not reactive whatsoever when it comes to recent performance affecting their lineup decisions. And we've clearly seen that with Luis Arraez. And I think they genuinely believe he is still that 380, 390 on base percentage guy that you can put in the number 2 spot. And they don't want to drop him. They don't want to put him lower in the lineup because of what it says. I don't know if that's real, if that's tangible, but that's the reasoning for doing so. And to some extent, I get that, but I also understand that when you get into September, and we talked about this last week, in last September, they had similar questions. Why is Jackson Merrill hitting so low? There's no excuse for it. And all of a sudden you got into September and he jumped up in the lineup, and they moved some other guys down. There's something to be said for stability, I think, but there's also something to be said for like the day-to-day impact of what a lineup is, which is minimal. Like let's be honest about what lineup construction is. It's not the most important thing to winning games. But it does have an impact if you're batting a guy who has a 720 OPS second in the lineup, and he has not showed those signs of being that hitter who he has been.
When I was going to post game, I was in the Padres press box elevator on Saturday, and this is going to be after the dominant Nestor Cortez game. And I heard a couple of the Dodgers reporters saying we need to start we should start looking or making reservations for the wild card hotels just because I don't know that they were buying into the Dodgers really, running away with the West or that they're going to win this West. What, if anything, did you learn about both these teams given the recent series?
That's a good question.
We'll start with the Padres first.
Well, I was going to start with the Dodgers and just say their offense is flawed too. Like they have question marks too. Like back-to-back nights, one hit against Darvish and Cortez. Like both of those guys pitched great games, but the Dodgers did not have the greatest approach. Like I've seen some Dodgers offenses through the past that were way more relentless 1 through 9 than what I saw this weekend. So the Dodgers have question marks just like the Padres do. Yes. On the Padres side, like I would go back to our earlier conversation about the bullpen. Like this bullpen is not invincible. It is incredible. It has 5 dudes that I would legitimately consider high leverage options. And I'm not shying away from Jeremiah Estrada. If I'm Mike Schilt down the stretch, I would pitch him again. Maybe not in certain matchups against certain guys, but I'd pitch him again against the Dodgers in the postseason. That being said, like I think you look at what the Padres did with their rotation, and maybe this is a question more for the regular season than the playoffs. But if the Padres get 6 innings from their starting pitching and can maneuver their bullpen the way they'd like to, like. They're going to be in really good shape. They're going to win a lot of games down the stretch. That's, to me, their path to winning the division. Like everyone wants to talk about how good their bullpen is, and it's incredible. That's their path to winning in October. Their path to winning the division is getting 6 quality innings from their starters every night so that they can use 3 of those high leverage arms and not 4 or 5 of them, and keep guys fresh for the next day when they go out and want to do the exact same thing. That's how you stack wins on top of each other, have lots of guys in your bullpen fresh. And I think that's got to be the formula. They didn't get it last night. We saw what happened. If they get 5-6 innings quality from their starting pitchers, they will win the West. If they don't, they're gonna really struggle to do so because they're gonna overburden their relievers.
I'm just thinking about this, given the uncertainty that we know about the Padres starting rotation and how built up Michael King is going to be come playoff time. How much do you think, AJ, that the Padres need to win the division in order to really set up a deep playoff run? Just think about a little bit of extra rest that you might get for your starters and for your very taxed bullpen.
I'm going to say that they don't.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
I'm gonna counter it and say that they don't. I think like everyone should want them to win the division, and it gives them a significant advantage. And the fact that it looks like the Cubs have a relatively easy schedule too. I know the Padres have the easiest schedule in baseball down the stretch. The Cubs have a relatively easy schedule too. So catching the Cubs, like they might have to play on the road in that wild card series. So that would make it tougher. Everyone's focus is on the division. The division should be on the division right now. But if the Padres finish in that number 4 seed and they don't win the division, all their objectives are still right in front of them. So I think they should want to win the division because I look at these 2 rosters and I think the Padres roster is potentially better than the Dodgers if they get Michael King and Jackson Merrill healthy. They should want to win. They should want to win the division because of the statement it sends, because that's been their goal all season. But either of these teams, if they don't win the division, they could still go on to win the World Series.
Plus, it's better on a T-shirt. I mean, you're much more prone to go ahead and buy a National League, a division, and a West T-shirt than you are a wild card. Do they even sell wild card T-shirts? Do they sell wild card gear?
I don't think they sell wild card gear, but they have those October shirts or October Ready or different slogan every year. But division champs would be nice, and then I wouldn't have to write about how long it had been since their last one.
Okay, all right. How much? I remember we were talking about how the rotation could shape up. The Padres were already looking ahead to the Dodgers series. That was in June, right? They were going to stack up their high leverage arms. And of course, it was changed with the Michael King's injury. But how much of the next few weeks is going to be about lining up their rotation to go ahead and start the playoffs? And how much of the next few weeks is about figuring out how guys are going to fit come playoff time? Yeah,
I think the fit is already at least in like the bulk. It's pretty simple this year. There's not like who's going to fill this role, who's going to start this game. Like if King's back, King and Pivetta are your top 2, and then Cease is probably 3 unless Darvish is dominant. Like there's the rotation equation. The bullpen, we know who the high leverage arms are. We know what lanes they're each going to get. The offense, we know who the offense is. I think there's obviously still questions about where guys fit in the lineup. Maybe Luis Ariz chief among them. Like But like we know who the dudes are. Like there aren't that many questions about who's filling what roles in October.
Mhm.
Moving beyond that, though, it's like they don't know who's gonna. Like part of it is obviously contingent on whether they win that bye or whether they win that division and get that bye.
Yeah.
Because then they can set things up a little differently. They have different timing based on rest. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting few weeks. The playoffs are obviously weird because the wild card series is 3 games, the division series is 5 games, and then you get into a couple 7-game series. So like those 2 7-game series are very different from the short series early in the playoffs,
Mhm.
and you manage them differently, and you prepare for them differently, and you use pitchers differently for them. So I think it'll be a lot about lining your guys up once you get to the final week or 2 of the season. I think you can do that. The Padres have off days, I want to say, every single week except for 1 down the stretch from here on out. So they can adjust as necessary. I would like they have a stretch with 19 games in 20 days in there somewhere, but there are enough off days where they'll be able to maneuver. Part of it's contingent on how well these guys are performing. Nick Pavetta's been the best starter.
Yeah.
Is he game 1? I don't know.
I was just going to ask you that question. Is it Darvish? Is it Darvish? Is it Darvish who's given his experience? Is it King if he's built up?
They don't know. I don't think they know yet. I think they're waiting to see what King looks like when he comes back. They're waiting to see what Darvish looks like down the stretch, if he can build on what he did last time against the Dodgers. Cease, if he can like finally channel that dominant version of Cease. Like right now it's Nick Pavetta's, but I don't think the Padres are like attached to that. I think they would like, I don't even know if they have, I mean, they have definitely thought this far ahead, but they haven't started penciling in anybody because they don't know who's healthy and they don't know who's performing.
Okay. If the guys are all healthy, and I can't believe I'm asking this question, and there's a wild card series, is Dylan Cease a lock for the rotation?
I don't think so. If the guys are all healthy, and like I think Michael King, if he's pitching like he was earlier in the season, I like given his experience, I think what he did last season, I would go King, Pavetta, and then question between Darvish and Cease, whoever's pitching better at the time. And you could make every argument that it should be Darvish, given how well he pitched against the Dodgers, given what he did last year in the postseason, and given like some of Cease's inconsistency. You obviously don't want that. Now there is like in the postseason, like you can, you'll know pretty quickly if you're getting dominant Dylan Cease, and if you are, then you ride that, and if you're not, then you go to this bullpen. But if everyone's healthy, I think King and Pavetta are clearly 1 and 2 in some order, and then there's a question mark for Game 3. Then again, like Darvish didn't pitch in, like you don't have to be in the wild card series to make a serious impact. Darvish didn't pitch in the wild card series last year and wasn't even lined up to pitch Game 3 if there was one, and then he was the best pitcher in the division series for the Padres. So, like, if you want to win the playoffs, you're going to probably have to have 4 starters, or at least like 4 guys who pitch well as starters. Like you don't have to have. You can win in the playoffs without a 4th starter, but at some point you're going to have that 4th guy step up. So we'll see kind of how it unfolds. Part of this is why it could be important to win that division and get that bye, because you don't have to ask yourself that question.
You can always go the Wandy Peralta opener and do the bullpen game.
I like that.
I'm rooting for that idea.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
I like it. Peralta, Vasquez. By the way, was this going forward, if they need it, the extra starter, Vasquez over Sears in the future?
I think so. I think Vasquez has proven it.
Okay.
That said, like a lot of this question mark in the bullpen, who's going to pitch when, has come down to like who's available on what days. A lot of times, like they call up Vasquez to make a start, then send him down. And then all of a sudden they need another starter. Well, Vasquez isn't available because he has to be down for 15 days before you could recall him. So that's why they've been cycling the 2 of them. But if they have to choose, how could it not be Randy Vasquez? He's been awesome in that role.
The call-ups will be expanded rosters. I think I won't talk to you next week. I don't think I might. Maybe I will. But I won't talk to you on Tuesday. And, of course, Monday is a holiday. Do you think Campusano is still in the names? What are you hearing about who the Padres could call up?
Campusano could be one of the names. I was a little more like locked in on that being the option because of what they needed off the bench until like the Will Wagner call up with Jackson Merrill. And I'm kind of, and like Wagner did have that, like there is something to be said for, how do I put it? Well, So if you have Jackson Merrill back, maybe you have Gavin Sheets on the bench now, or maybe you have another one of those left-handed bats on the bench, and you can pinch it with that guy in the Fermin spot that they did last night. But
Okay.
I like the option of having a left-handed bat that can get on base like Wagner did coming off the bench, so you can pinch hit for Freddie Fermin in a spot that you need to late in the game, which they did last night. And obviously it was 9-5 game, and they didn't come back, but like that's useful. It could potentially spark something. So there's also an argument that the Padres need a right-handed bat to balance their lineup, to balance their depth. I just think they're comfortable enough with the left-handed hitting options that they have, where I think it's maybe more likely that Will Wagner would stay on the roster when Merrill gets called up. Now, if Merrill's not called up, maybe it's both of them, and then one of them gets sent down after Merrill's activated. But I guess I just think Will Wagner will have a chance to prove himself as that 27th guy. And he could be useful because he can play a lot of different positions, and because he can hit against right-handed pitching. So you need a guy to get on base late in the game. The number 9 spot's up. Worked last night. It could work in the future.
Right before we started today's show, I was joking about the whole Taylor Swift, Kelsey news breaking, but I also saw the Padres put out their schedule for 2026. Have you already written about this, AJ Cassavell, on Padres.com?
I have not written about it yet. I think there's just someone else has written about it.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so
it's listed the story. But I have started looking at the schedule, trying to plan when I'm going to take some time off to go to the World Cup.
Really?
But that was my big question mark about the schedule, is when can I take a week off and watch some soccer. But other than that, it looks like I don't know. I haven't taken enough time to digest it, but it looks like a fun schedule. A lot of fun road trips on there.
Starting at home versus Detroit Tigers. Wow. Tigers.
World Series rematch.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You heard it here first. AJ Cassavell, Padres, Detroit Tigers. We're going to rematch from 1984. Holy smokes. Giants. They don't play the Dodgers until like mid-May. And is next
But they
year
got them in the final week too.
Is that right? Let's see.
Yes, it is.
Oh, what are the schedule makers telling you when they book the Dodgers and the D-backs for the season finale? I'm already looking at September of next year. We're not even in September of this year. Look at us looking ahead. Yeah, there we go.
I'm more locked in on this 10-game road trip in June. That is right over the World Cup. That might be time for some vacation.
Oh, is that so? Wait.
Yeah.
So next we have the WBC, the World Cup. Maybe you and Darren, you guys can share a hotel bunk beds for the World Cup.
All right, I'm down. I got to figure out what cities I want to go to.
Okay. Well, you have a little bit of time. You have time today in pregame. By the way, my last time I was in Seattle was for an NFL game, and one of the perks of sitting in being in Seattle in the press box, they had like a press box coffee bar. It was insane because the coffee is so good. AJ Caswell, where did you go today for your coffee order, and what did you get? And how much do you love it?
I didn't get the coffee, Marty, and this was kind of an embarrassing story, but I took the wrong turn. We were going to go live at 10:30, and then your nephew ruined the dishwasher or whatever. But I walked out the hotel and started walking. I don't know. I had just woken up. It's so sorry. Yeah, I had just woken up. I walked out of the hotel, turned right, walked for about 8 minutes, looked at my phone, realized, I'm now in the completely opposite direction. So I had to come back to the hotel. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to go get coffee. And if today's episode sucked, you can blame it on the coffee. It's because I didn't have my coffee. That's why I wasn't my usual bubbly self.
Listen to me, AJ. We always have to make adjustments for different reasons, right? I have a project I have to get to right now. I had soap over here. But if any time you need to make adjustments because of coffee, like I can't even speak. I can't get dressed without coffee. I can't function. So I would forgive you. I would say, listen, we can delay it. I can push my projects aside. I'm so sorry. You're really, really informative. So thank you. I powered through though. I powered through. I think this was a coffee caliber show without the coffee. Because you know what, AJ? You're gritty. Gritty. This was a gritty appearance.
Grinded it out.
You're grinding it one show at a time. All right, AJ, thank you so much. I look forward to you two, winning the call off, the home run. You're gonna nail it. I've got your back in this. But tell Craig, congratulations.
I will do that.
All right, my friend. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Marty.
That is AJ Cassavell from Padres.com. You can follow him on Twitter at AJ Cassavell. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Let's see. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We have a day game tomorrow, so I will not be here. But Thursday, we're going to talk to John Morosi of MLB Network and Fox. He was in San Diego, I think, for the Giant series. I think they had the game that last Tuesday. So we will talk to John Morosi on Thursday about the Padres in the NL West playoff picture. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you for joining me. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Have a wonderful day, and make sure you tell your kids you never, ever put regular soap in the dishwasher. My place is an absolute mess. Have a great day. Bye. What do you think about the roster, the pitching staff that you are just sit down?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I was joking with my friends last night from back home. It's like, all you got to do is get to the 5th inning and possibly the 4th. And then just turn it over. But yeah, no, I mean, what the team has done at deadline has been incredible, really aggressive, and like I said, just happy to be part of this team, happy to hopefully just be a stepping stone to get to the playoffs and hopefully win it all.
Test coming back clean. I'm not really concerned with where the nerves are right now.
So you fully expect to pitch again?
Oh, wait. Oh, God, yeah. Clown question, bro.